Hey guys, today I thought it would be fun to talk to you about the nonfiction books I've read. These are books that I've been assigned to read for school. Two of them I actually picked up on my own. I'm not a really big nonfiction reader, as you could probably tell from the majority of my videos, but these are the nonfiction books that I've read that I really enjoyed. And if you're looking into any type of nonfiction, I thought this would be just a cool little video to do, considering I really don't talk about nonfiction books. So let's just get started. So the first two books on this list were actually mentioned in my top 10 favorite classics video, and I will put a card to that, I think it's on this side, as well as a link down there if you want to hear more thoughts on these. But that is Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning and H.G. Bissinger's Friday Night Lights. These are completely different texts. They have absolutely nothing in common whatsoever, other than the fact that they both made it onto my top 10 favorite classics, and I really enjoy both of these. This is like a research journalism type book into a high school in Odessa, Texas, and their football team. This particular high school in the 80s finally started desegregation, even though it was like nationally mandated to desegregate the school systems in the 60s. So 20 years later, this school is finally doing it, but they're doing it in a way that they can get a bunch of Black and Hispanic football players, so their football team will be better than the surrounding schools. And it's about this football team and how they are worshipped by the community on their journey to try to win the state and national championships. Man's Search for Meaning, on the other hand, is about Viktor E. Frankl's time in the concentration camps of World War II in Germany, and how he uses those to further develop his theory of logotherapy. The experiences that he has in the concentration camps are not the focal point of this book. The focal point is his theory of logotherapy and how the main drive of human life is not pleasure, but what we find meaningful. I really enjoyed both of these books, and like I said, a link is down there to my top 10 favorite classic video, as well as up here in the cards if you want to go check that video out and learn more about these books. So the next book I'm going to show you, I had to pick a type of psychology book for a book report when I was a junior in high school, and I picked The Psychology of Harry Potter. This is edited by Neil Mulholland, but there are a lot of essays in here from a collection of authors. I haven't read every essay in this book, but I did really enjoy the ones that I have read. If you are a nice big Harry Potter fan like myself and you also like psychology, I would look into getting this. The book is divided into different sections. We have What Kind of School is Hogwarts? Will Harry Be Okay? Is Magic Real? The Weird World of Wizards, The Weird World of Muggles, and Learning from Harry. And the majority of the ones I read were in the first section of the book, What Kind of School is Hogwarts? And that kind of takes into account, like, is Hogwarts is really a good of a school in terms of, like, looking at it from a school setting. Like, does it prepare students for the world outside of Hogwarts? Are the classes that it's being teaching good classes that students will actually need to survive and succeed in life? I like to flip through this every now and again and just read an essay here or there. I really enjoyed this. It's definitely not something I've read before, but because of that, I really like it. So the next book I'm going to show you is, I think, the only one of its kind that I have in this list. I was working on creating a story that required a lot of research into Egyptian mythology. I've since put that story on the back burner, but in my research I bought Religion and Magic in Ancient Egypt by Rosalie David, and I really enjoyed this book. I love mythology and religion of ancient cultures. Egypt and Greek are probably my favorite, but I do like Norse and Roman. It's just that I know the most about Egyptian and Greek, and this is a great book. It was very easy to read through and annotate and everything. I had a good time learning all about the different religion and magic aspects of the ancient Egyptian culture, and I really loved this book. It was easy to read as an out-of-school setting for just me to flip through when I wanted to get more research done for my story, and I would really recommend this if you need to maybe write a paper about Egyptian mythology and religion, or if you're just curious yourself. I thought this was a very good resource. The next book I have to show you is Nonsense on Stilts: How to Tell Science from Bunk by Massimo Pigliucci. And basically what this is, Massimo Pigliucci is working through all of these different urban legends and myths about science. What he hopes to do is to debunk a lot of like misconceptions and like challenging things that a lot of people believe. For example, he works against creationists who dismiss Darwin's theory of evolution, parents who refuse to vaccinate their children, climate change deniers, and all of those other groups of people that ignore scientific evidence. And he's explaining why the science is real, why it works, and all of that. I haven't read the whole thing. It's a little bit like hard to get to. I had to read it for like summer reading before my senior year of high school, and like I enjoyed the parts that I did read, but it is very dense. So maybe someday I'll go back and like continue reading it chapter by chapter or something. But I really did enjoy it. He has this weird sense of humor with it. It's very funny to read, and he has a very beautiful way with language that I really appreciated, that kind of kept me going for as long as I did. I think I read half of the book, but I wasn't able to finish because I had to read 5 books that summer that were all like around this level, so it was a pretty intense summer. But I really enjoyed the parts of this book that I did read, and I want to go back and finish it. And if you're interested in science and debunking all of that fun stuff, I would look into this. Another book I had to read the same summer that I was supposed to read, Nonsense on Stilts, just to give you a sense of like the nonfiction I had to read that summer, is Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. I actually read this whole book. It's not super long, so that in itself isn't super impressive, but the fact that I read a Stephen Hawking book just makes me feel like I'm super smart, even though I'm totally not, because I really didn't understand a lot of the things in here. Basically, this whole book kind of just talks about space and how it happens and what's in it and how the universe started, and it's a very interesting book if you are into space and Stephen Hawking's work. I appreciated the enthusiasm that I could definitely tell he had when writing this, but it's just not for me. I'm not a very sciencey person, but I am proud of myself that I did read the whole thing, if only to say that I did read it. But if you're into science, you might like this. So the next book I have to show you, you've probably heard of or read, and that is Night by Elie Wiesel. I had to read this sophomore year of high school. If you are unaware of what Night is, Night recounts Elie Wiesel's experiences in the concentration camps in World War II, and exactly just living through that experience and telling his story and sharing what happened to him. It's a very intense read. If you haven't read a story about a man in a concentration camp, this is a very, very good one. It is very sad, very heart-wrenching. It is really quite painful, in my opinion, to read about the experiences of the survivors of the concentration camps, but I think it is very important to do so. I think it's very important not to gloss over this aspect of world history because it is so important and still pretty recent and heart-wrenching and grueling, and it's definitely a read I think everyone should look into, but just to be warned, it is heavy and it is dark, but I believe it is very, very worth it. The next book I have to show you I was supposed to read for school, but they ended up scratching it off the curriculum, but my teacher gave it to me anyway because she knew I liked to read, and it is Left 4 Dead by Pete Nelson. Left 4 Dead recounts the tragic events of the USS Indianapolis. It was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine on July 30th, 1945, and sank in 14 minutes, where more than 1,000 men were thrown into shark-infested waters. And this book focuses on a few of the survivors and their experience during the sinking and after the sinking and waiting to be rescued, and being on these life rafts and watching all of their crewmates and friends die either from their own injuries as a result of the sinking or being attacked by the sharks or dehydration, starvation, all of that. It's a dark read, pretty heavy, but I thought it was very, very good. The preface is written by a boy named Hunter Scott, and when he was 11, he did a history fair project on the Indianapolis, and that project became a crusade to restore the good captain's name and the honor of the men who served under him, because the Navy needed a scapegoat for the disaster of the sinking, and they court-martialed the captain for hazarding his ship, even though the survivors knew that the captain was not to blame. And so for 50 years they worked to clear his name, and nothing really became of it until Hunter Scott entered the picture. I think it is a very good story, very interesting piece of American history. If you haven't heard of the USS Indianapolis, I think this is a good text to read to get more information on it. The last two books I have to show you are by the same man. I really enjoyed these books. I got a lot of information from them, and they are Emotions Revealed and Telling Lies by Paul Ekman. One of my all-time favorite TV shows that unfortunately was taken off the air after its third season is called Lie to Me. And Lie to Me is loosely based on Paul Ekman and his research, and I was introduced to Lie to Me, and that's how I found out about Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman has this huge theory on microexpressions, which is basically if you're trying to conceal your emotion for a fraction of a second before you are able to school your features into a neutral expression, your real emotion shines through. And this is about how our expressions and how we interpret those into different emotions are universal across the world. So you can look at the pictures, and then they explain exactly what part of the face leads them to see where the activity is and what that translates to in terms of emotion. I really liked both of these books, and I've tested out the theories on my own brother, and I've caught him lying to me a couple times. Not about anything big, just if he's trying to tease me, but they're very interesting reads, and I really enjoyed them. And if you're interested in learning more about microexpressions and you want to learn more about how difficult it can be to hide your true emotions, I would really recommend Paul Ekman's work. These are the only two things I've read by him, but I'm pretty sure he's got some more novels out there. I really liked these. I found them very easy to read, very interesting, and I genuinely enjoyed them a lot. So I didn't realize it till just now, but those were 10 books I showed you. So I guess I could say this is my top 10 favorite nonfiction books, even though I didn't really put them in any particular order because I don't really have an order for them. I just genuinely liked the information and facts that they presented me with, and I thought they were all very interesting. I don't read a lot of nonfiction, and when I do read something for fun for myself that's nonfiction, it is usually some weird area of something like Egyptian mythology or microexpressions. But hey, whatever works. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you later with another one. Bye!